We are back. Ladies and gentlemen, we are so brack. It's only just begun. It has only just begun. Sorry about that first crash. I haven't had a live stream crash in quite a few weeks, so I don't know what is going on there. My internet is acting up this evening, so I'm just going to hope that we can stay strong. Let's hope we can stay strong. Let me put the... if people want to put the link for this live stream into the previous live stream, in case there are still some people there. Yeah. I'll let the people know. Oh no, they've all gone. They've all flipped. Okay, that's good. So, before we continue, there was a super chat I got in my last live stream that I need to address. So, from the previous live stream, thank you for the super chat from Gavin Copley, who says, "Good evening, my lord. It's getting close to Dragon O'Clock." It certainly is. It certainly is. And hopefully we can not crash. And we can have smooth sailing, looking at some next episode predictions without exploding, just in time for the next episode. So there we go. Okay. Shall we go? Let's continue. If this crashes again, I don't know what to do. Oh boy. Anyway. So, Lord of Drip. Where were we? Lord of Drip. So Sir Simon Strong from last episode, played by the great Sir Simon Russell Beale. Daemon's new friend. Look how drippy this man is. Look at that. Look at that beautiful man. That beautiful rotund man. Look at the chain around his neck. Silken robes. Big old cloak. Furry cloak. I love it. Anyway, it must be hard to dress the Strongs, right? Because the Strong sigil is one of the worst sigils, unfortunately. It's a cool house, cool history, but their official sigil with the three colours representing the three colours of the trident, kind of boring. The three forks of the trident. Now, the Hot D version of the Strong sigil is actually quite cool because the three colours spread out like rivers, whereas in the books it's just like three straight lines, and it's quite gross to look at, honestly. But yeah, Daemon finally has drip and all. Yeah, he's finally got a drippy friend. He's always been a bit of a loner. You know, he likes to groom nieces. He likes to fly on craxies. But other than that, he doesn't really know many people. So it's good for him to have a friend. Most importantly, it's important for this character to bounce off of another character in Harrenhal, so that Matt Smith isn't walking around by himself. So we saw what their dynamic was like last episode. It wasn't as it is in the book, where Daemon appears on his dragon and says, "You have to bend the knee, you have to bow to me, or I will burn you. I will make Aegon the Conqueror look like a kitten. I will make Balerion look like Sir Pounce, motherfucker. Right? Bend the knee to me." And then he basically has them under house arrest. And no, the dynamic here is different. The dynamic here is, oh no, we are willingly bending the knee. We are letting you into the castle. Please come in. We oppose Team Green specifically because we oppose our Lord Larys Strong, who we know for a fact murdered Lionel and Harwin in order to get the position as Lord. And he's never here anyway. And he probably takes all of the income, all of the Harrenhal land income, and uses it to fund his spy network instead of rebuilding the castle. Another super chat from Gavin Copley, who says, "Welcome back, my lord." Thank you very much. I do appreciate everyone jumping back into this stream after the last one blew up. So yeah, the dynamic is completely different. It is more friendly. It's a bit more on equal terms. It's Simon probably wants to work with Daemon. Like, okay, how can we win on behalf of Rhaenyra? How can we take down Larys Clubfoot, as he calls him? I think that's the first time, actually. Episode 3 might be the first time he's referred to as Larys Clubfoot. Because in the book, he is, that's who he is. He's Larry Clubfoot. Sometimes Larys Clubfoot, sometimes Larry Clubfoot. It's quite derogatory. But yeah, and of course, the first time we hear it is from someone who doesn't like him, so that does make sense. Yeah, they'll probably be getting on. They'll be chilling. They'll be planning for the future. Daemon's plan to pacify the Riverlands and march on to King's Landing. So they might be doing some tactical discussion, some strategy, being like, which houses do we get on our side? How do we defeat House Blackwood? How do we deal with the Lannisters marching in from the west? How do we deal with Kristen marching up from the south, etc., etc.? So yeah, here's a still from... Here's some leaked photos from The Witcher Season 4. It looks pretty lit. Now, I'm not a big fan of The Witcher TV show on Netflix. If anything, it's one of the single worst shows I've ever seen. But I did see some leaked images. This has to be, I guess this is Liam Hemsworth as Geralt. And they've also recast Yennefer. I'm not going to lie, it looks really good. I thought I might start watching it again. It looks pretty badass. Yeah. So I think... So we've got Daemon in pajamas and a sword. So this is either him immediately going to... This is either him reacting to the vision from last episode, or maybe he has another vision, and then after having that vision, he marches up to Alice Rivers and is like, okay, what is going on here? Why are you being creepy? Why did you say I would die in this place? What is wrong with you? And then she's going to be like, no, it's all good. It's all fine. You know, you need more rest. You're just tired. You know, have this. Have a sleeping draft. It's definitely not spiked with magic mushrooms. And then Daemon's going to go on another trip. But yes, it'll be fun to see Daemon, see the Rogue Prince interact with the Witch Queen of Harrenhal. Because, let's be honest, it's very clear that Alice Rivers has a thing for, you know, sexy silverhead men who low-key look kind of inbred and have massive chins. So maybe she'll start flirting with Daemon. Daemon rejects her. She's like, fine, I'll move on to Aemond when he comes in. Yeah, so the reason so she's holding a cup there, and the reason I use the term sleeping draft is because, little info, last year there was a leaked audition tape for Alice Rivers. Oh, it was a leaked tape for a character called AR. Clearly Alice Rivers. Excuse me. And it wasn't Gail Rankin, the actual actress, performing it. It was another actress called Emily Beecham, I believe, who clearly didn't get the role, but she posted the audition tape on Vimeo or something and immediately got nuked by HBO, but some people managed to grab it and you can still see it floating around every now and then, like on TikTok. And yeah, I'm not going to play it on this or anything, because it would... HBO would... there'd be a red dot right in the centre of my forehead from the gun laser sights. HBO will be hunting me down. But basically, the audition tape is like a character called AR who's talking to someone and is talking about giving them a sleeping draft to help them sleep, and is generally being kind of weird and quirky and calling herself an owl and all that. And talking about the history of the castle they're in. But of course, because it's an audition tape, it's not King Harren. She refers to King Harold, which is very subtle. King Harold. So, yeah, this scene might be some kind of... will be in some way related to that audition scene. You know, the audition scenes are usually... They're usually early drafts of scripts or like scenes from a script that are expanded upon. But it might be somewhat similar. And it'll be cool. What I'm looking forward to is people actually realising that Alice Rivers is Scottish and not American. Because that'd be nice. Because so many people are like, oh, wow, that's cool. Wow, they finally hired an American. They finally have an American actress on Game of Thrones. Like, in what universe did Ryan Condal suddenly go, you know what? Let's have an American accent in Westeros. The first of ever. That wouldn't be distracting. Like, it's Scottish. Come on, people. It's Scottish. But yeah, obviously Alice belongs to WHAM. I don't know if you've heard of this, the Westerosi Association of MILFs. You might not know the name, but Melisandre is an official member, if that helps narrow things down. But yes, this is another shot of Alice Rivers, and first off, the long black hair, straight out of the fan art, right? That's exactly how she's described, long black hair. And of course, she's wearing like a little apron thing, like she looks like a herbologist or something, right? Like a proper woods witch. Cauldrons and bubbling potions and so on. But anyway, on her apron she has leaves, and some people suspect it might be weirwood leaves, and that they're basically saying that in this show Alice Rivers is going to represent a sort of like old god's Melisandre, where if Melisandre is about R'hllor, the red god, then the Lord of Light, then Alice Rivers is going to be the old gods. She's going to be the weirwood Melisandre. A lot more Celtic, a lot more pagan, which is really fun. And in an interview, Gail Rankin brought up that line from the books about how she retains her youth by bathing in the blood of virgins, which the actress said was quite fun. I don't know if we're going to get anything that explicit, but I do hope we get some weird, creepy shit with her. They're doing a great job making Harrenhal its own castle. Its own character, rather. Yeah. So that'd be right. And also in that interview, she said that, I don't know how serious she was being or if she was exaggerating or whatever, but she says that Alice Rivers is 400 years old, which is like, damn, okay, 400. You really? That old god's magic is working its charm, isn't it? Okay, hiding those mummy milkers from Aemond. You need to behave yourself. God damn. Calm down, chat. Calm down. Okay, so Sad Boy 2, The Saddening. Yeah, here's a shot of a couple of pictures of Aegon kind of lounging by a chair. He's talking to Alicent. We'll talk about this later, but in the trailer, she seems to be kind of rude to him. And I believe it's also the same shot from the trailer where he angrily slams the table or the chair or whatever. So there's clearly some kind of argument going on between mother and son. And in my opinion, I think this is the pre-Rook's Rest argument. I think this is the argument that pushes him to face the battlefield on the back of Sunfire. Because, he was kind of talked out to it by Larys last time, but he's constantly trying to prove himself. The actor Tom Glencarney said that he kind of thinks he's a bit of a fraud, right? Where he's kind of working out that Viserys didn't actually want him on the throne, and he's kind of incompetent, and he doesn't know what he's doing, and his hand is... He made an impulsive choice in firing Otto and hiring Kristen, and his mates are now Kingsguard, and it's all kind of unprofessional and chaotic, and he doesn't really know what's going on, and so he feels like a fraud in every sense of the word. Is he right to rule? Did his father really want him to rule? Probably not. And everyone sees him as weak, as Otto says. They already think you're weak, and so Aegon is desperate to prove himself once and for all, and maybe having an argument with his mother, which might be a bit emasculating. Your mother being like, yeah, you're worthless or whatever. And it might push Aegon over the edge. He'll be like, you know what, screw it, I'm going to get into that Valyrian steel armour that doesn't really suit me. I'm going to get on top of Sunfire, who we've not seen yet. Not properly. We saw Aemon's dick before we saw Sunfire in action. And I'm going to fly out to Rook's Rest, I'm pretty sure that's what this is, the catalyst. This has to be the final push, I think. And then we'll get another council scene this episode. We've got Aemond Aegon at the front. Again, this is probably going to be the Greens talking about Kristen's progress, so we might get a bit of context as to Rosby and Stokeworth being taken and Duskendale being sacked and so on. And they might keep... I like how they keep bringing up the evolving state of the war. The Hightower army is rising up in Old Town. Jason Lannister is still marching his men to the Golden Tooth. Like, they're giving us some context, and things are moving, they're moving slowly, but not in a boring way. Quinn the GM is here. Hello to Quinn the GM. For those who have not listened to Quinn the GM's live stream, once you finish this, and probably won't be much time before the episode, but at some point after the episode or tomorrow, feel free to watch Quinn the GM's live stream. Not only does he throw out some predictions for episode 4, and you can see if he was right or not, he also talks about George R. R. Martin's latest blog posts. So shout out to Quinn. He's going to need all the support he can get, because I'm like 100 subs behind him. We've known each other for like a year, and I'm finally like 100 subs behind him. And as I've often said, the moment I overtake him by 1, I'm closing all communication. I'm moving on. I'm going to be Glidus' best friend. Friendship ended with Quinn. Glidus is now my best friend. I won't be dealing with no 39k subscriber peasant when I'm on 40k subs. What are you talking about? Anyway, what are we talking about? Oh, yes. And then Aemond. I'm not going to lie. Every single promo picture of Aemond for the first 4 episodes of the season have been the same thing. Every single bit. It's just been him sitting at the council with that same face. Every single promo shot is just the same thing. And of course, in this shot behind Aegon, you can see Leon Estamont, one of his mates, his curly-haired mate. And of course, presumably, sitting on the council for the first time will be the one, the only Larys Strong. Because he is now the Master of Whisperers. He was named the Master of Whisperers last episode. So hopefully he'll be on the council. There appears to be some room next to Alicent, which is quite lovely. So, so yeah, it'll be fun to see what he can bring to the table, quite literally and figuratively. Because in the book, of course, he's Master of Whisperers since before Viserys' death, and he's part of the Green Coup, and he does the weirdest thing out of everyone there, which is, if the sources can be believed, which is that he cuts, like, he cuts his hand, and he makes everyone else cut their hands, and he makes everyone hold hands as like a blood pact and swear that they have to go through with putting Aegon on the throne. Really fucking weird. Like, that's just odd. Anyway, yeah, we have this scene, I think, relates to that shot in the trailer where Alicent is looking all frazzled and dishevelled, and she's slumped in a chair, and she's saying, it doesn't matter how the war started, it doesn't matter who believes what, the wheels are turning, the machinery of warfare is in motion, there is no looking back, there's no turning back. The war has escaped all our grasps, it is a monster that will not slow down, and there's nothing to be done. And as she's giving this speech in the trailer, you can see a hand on a cane, so she's clearly saying it to Larys. Now, I'm not entirely sure what Larys is reading in this picture, but my assumption is he has a copy of The Winds of Winter. Because if we abide by the theory that Larys is a skin changer, right? First man blood from House Strong, skin changer. He likes to warg rats and spy on people. I'm not a big fan of that theory, for reasons that maybe I'll talk about another time. Excuse me, sorry. But if it is true, only the most professional live stream for Fancy Haven. If it is true, then maybe he's doing the Bran thing. You know how Bran walked Hodor back in time? Maybe Larys is walking George R.R. Martin forwards in time and stealing all his ideas for Winds, coming back in time, writing it himself and selling it. Larys is now a best-selling author of Ye Old Winds of Winter. Larys Shakespeare, and he's just selling it everywhere. I do wonder what he's reading. One of my patrons said it might be a shoe catalogue. Yeah, Flippy said it's a shoe catalogue. He's like, how about this one, Alice? Alison, do you want to try this one? She's like, oh, God damn it, do I have to? Maybe that book is like Westerosi OnlyFans. Maybe he's like, each page is like a different peasant woman, and he's like, looking at the prices, like, no, not sure. This one, yeah. Let me get my gold out. Let me bring out those gold dragons. Show me them piggly wigglies. Take off your stockings. That's enough. All right. So next up, no idea what he's reading. Could be anything. But next up, let me just rest my rook. The battle itself. Here are the promo pictures of the battle itself. We've got Kristen in the top left with a really awesome helmet. I do have to say, I really dislike the Kingsguard helmets. They look so absurd, and they especially made Kristen look goofy. But now that he's Lord Commander, they've given him a new helmet, and it looks really, really good. I think, yeah, the shape of it is different. The nose guard is nice. It's awesome. The bulky armor with that helmet and then the hand chain around his neck makes him look pretty badass, I'm not gonna lie. Although it does have to be said, as with all Game of Thrones armor, the fact that no one is wearing any neck protection continues to be absurd. And yeah, we've got him in the woods. This could be them witnessing the dragon fight above Rook's Rest. We have Gwaine Hightower there in his stupid helmet that has no face protection whatsoever. Although I appreciate the little Hightower symbol on his helmet, and I appreciate his green studded jerkin, and the shield. Like, all of the heraldry and colours in this episode is gonna be incredible. Yeah, I'll talk more about my expectations for this battle as we go through screenshots from the trailer, but yeah, my understanding is the pictures at the top and on the right are from the Battle of Rook's Rest. The picture on the left of Gwaine with his helmet off, looking all bloody, with his wind dramatically waving in the wind, I think, with his hair waving in the wind, sorry, not his wind waving in the wind, with his hair waving in the wind, I think that's after the sack of Duskendale, but like I said, we'll get into that in a second. Someone's saying, why would you want to cover Gwaine's face, though? That's a good point. He's a handsome lad, isn't he? He's a handsome guy. Alright, so, the first shot of the trailer, we have Rook's Rest itself. So it's basically an over-the-shoulder shot. There are some soldiers on battlements, and we see the woods in the distance, and armies coming out of the woods. Kristen's army, his Crownland's army, coming out to siege Rook's Rest. So this is before the dragon fight. This is the attack on the castle itself. Hopefully we will see Lord Simon Staunton, because last episode he excused himself from the Black Council because he's like, Rook's Rest is the seat of House Staunton and I want to go and fortify my own defences. I want to be there for my men. I imagine most viewers will not recognise him or even remember who he was, but the fact the showrunners are willing to integrate these side characters, even tertiary characters, and put some effort in, I really do appreciate it. Because you could have cut Lord Staunton, but having him actually be around, I think for casual viewers will make the show even better on rewatch, where you'll be like, oh, I recognise that guy. I didn't know he was there from the beginning, and he's got a mini arc. He's one of Rhaenyra's allies, and then he goes to defend Rook's Rest, and then either at the end of this episode or the beginning of the next episode, I imagine he'll get snipped by Kristen. So, because there's a whole bunch of people coming in to the live stream, I will just say again, it's in the title, but I will reiterate, this is a spoilers live stream. I'm spoiling the books, looking at trailers and stuff. This is all, yeah. Don't. If you're not interested in what could happen next episode, don't watch. This is spoilery. Not spoilery based on leaks, spoilery based on trailers and Fire and Blood and so on. So yes, I feel like this frame is sort of self-explanatory. This could be Larys and Alicent just having a nice chat. It could be Larys almost breaking up with Alicent, kind of being like, listen, you're not powerful anymore, you don't have influence around here anymore, with your father gone you're nothing, I don't need to give you information, I don't even want your feet, I want Aegon's feet now, so I'm now going to be Aegon's man, and that he's the next host that I will latch myself onto and suck dry. I don't need you anymore. I don't want to suck you dry anymore, Alicent. I don't want to see those dainty piggly wigglies. Put your feet away from me. Although, maybe it is JOI time. You know what I'm saying? Maybe this is another foot scene. Maybe this is Larys being like, hey, I'm not done with you yet. I've got even more information. And of course, whatever information that is will be something to stir the pot and to advance himself and maybe cause chaos or whatever. But maybe this is one more interaction where he's giving information in exchange for feet. Also, I do have to say, this is not a very flattering screenshot of Alicent. What is JOI? Well, I will answer that by quickly going on to the next screenshot so we don't have to dwell on it. Next up, Darklyn Schemes. That's obviously a reference to the only Iron Rod in Season 1 who turns to Alicent and says, Your Grace, we did not wish to sully you with these darkling schemes. And, darkling schemes? I love that phrase. That's fucking cool. It makes no sense for Iron Rod to say that, though, because surely in their mind, usurping the throne is not darkling schemes. It is the rightful transfer of power. So he kind of spoke like he knew he was a villain there. But yeah, so I say that because we have Darklyn, House Darklyn. So this must be Rook's Rest. This is after Duskendale. We see a bunch of Darklyn shields here. We see Rosby shields in the background. Rosby flags in the background, sorry. And as I've said before, medieval armies are often described not as armies, but as retinues of retinues. Various smaller armies within a larger host. And what better way to show that than Darklyn soldiers, Rosby soldiers, Stokeworth soldiers, Hightower soldiers, King's Landing Targaryen soldiers. A fantastic mix. I really do appreciate the effort that's gone into the series in terms of some of that medieval realism versus the old Game of Thrones, which, not a big deal, very nitpicky. But like the Lannister army just being like masses of men with the same armor and the same colors, and like that's it. Wasn't a huge fan. So next up we have I do apologize for the coughing. I do apologize. Next up we have Aegon playing with his ADHD fidget toy. I do wish I had that. That would be amazing. He's spinning it around. Again, people have pointed out that it's having a council. Not only is it just a new fun piece of lore, council in session, not only is it a good murder weapon, rest in peace Simon Beesbury, dumbest death ever, not only is it almost a cool little character accessory, because they each have different different colors that kind of correspond to that character, you know, like Tyland Lannister has a gold one, Aegon has a greenish one. That's quite fun. But it's also something that can be done physically. So you had, something that you can physically interact with, so the actors aren't just awkwardly sitting there. So you had Tyland wrestling the ball off of Jaehaerys. You had, in season 1, Ironrod rolling Tyland Lannister's ball to him. And then here you see Aegon doing a lot of fidgeting and spinning. Agent 58 says, bro, did you read that history professor's critique of A Song of Ice and Fire? Yes, that's where I got the retinue of retinues. I don't know, why did I say that twice? I full on like short-circuited there. That's where I got that comment from, yeah, that phrase from. There's a bunch of blog posts by a historian who critiques... is it mostly critiquing the show, not really the books, from what I remember? Maybe he critiques both. But it's very much looking at the historical inaccuracies. Quite interesting. There's a lot of stuff that is a bit eye-rolling when you're like, okay, you've kind of misinterpreted things, but also it is fun to see a historian break down what he thinks aspects of Game of Thrones aren't super realistic if we're looking at real medieval history. He also points out how ridiculous it is that Walder Frey has had, was it 9 wives? 8 wives? He says... He says that he assumes divorce is allowed in Westeros, otherwise it's insanely unlikely that he would have 8 wives who all died. Yeah. In fact, that would be a cool live stream to go through that guy's blog posts and chat about it and see if we like how much of it we agree with, how much we disagree with, whether he's being a bit pretentious or whatever. Yes, Dr. Brett Devereaux. Yes, I remember enjoying them when I read them a while ago. Yeah. So this next frame, we have, again, adding into the whole retinue of retinues idea, we have some High Tower soldiers. So these are clearly soldiers that belong to the High Tower Guard in the Red Keep, right? We have Targaryen soldiers. These are High Tower soldiers because they have the White Tower on their front, and they're firing arrows. And we can kind of look at what we got here. We've got some archers in the front. We've got men on horseback behind. They set up some sharp wooden spikes, presumably to stop the Stauntons from attacking them. If the Stauntons wanted to send out a force to kind of break them, then that's some good defense. In the background, there's some siege weapons, but the siege weapons do look like trees that have been cut down and carved, which makes sense because they're on the move in the forest. But you think they might have brought some more professional looking siege equipment other than big tree trunks to try and ram down the front gates. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how realistic this battle is compared to some of the Game of Thrones battles, especially the later stage, like Battle of the Bastards, which was insane in terms of logistics. Like, so many people dying that the bodies were creating mountains that were trapping them in. That was ridiculous, in like the span of like an hour. Absurd. Yeah, this siege does look very amateurish, but maybe that's the point. And then adding to all of the fun stuff, men on horseback, men with bows and arrows, we have a guy with a horn, because that's just cool. It's like in the Blackwater episode, Battle of the Blackwater, where there's that guy on Stannis' boat just banging those drums and getting everyone pumped up. I love that. And I love that there's just this Targaryen soldier guy with a horn. It's just fun. I haven't got much to say. It's just fun. I just like it. Okay. Well, this live stream hasn't crashed yet, so it's already more successful than the first. Beautiful. What are people saying? I've got to check the chat more often. Okay, before I check the chat, let's go into this next moment. So we talked bad parentage moment. So we talked about some of the stills earlier. So this appears to be Aegon and Alicent arguing about something. I can't remember the exact dialogue, but there's a bit where Aegon says something like, you can't say that, or how dare you say that, whatever. And Alicent's like, so what? What are you going to do about it? So this looks like she's drinking. She's maybe a bit depressed after Rhaenyra's revelation. She's realised that she lied to herself basically. It's not so much that she fell for. It's not so much that she fell into the miscommunication trope and like misunderstood Viserys. It's more that she latched onto something a dying, high old man said. She latched onto Joe Biden's final words and twisted it into something about her and Aegon because of confirmation bias and cognitive dissonance and all of this flawed human stuff. And then Rhaenyra's just shattering that by being like, yeah, no, he wasn't talking about Aegon, lol. And Alicent's probably like, you know what? It's too late now. The gears are turning. It's the war can't be stopped. But maybe she's just being a bit of a bitch about it and pissing off Aegon and being like, yeah, you're not meant to be the king. You're useless. And this is what makes Aegon go, God damn it, Mum, you're such a bad parent. I'm gonna go on Sunfire. I'm gonna prove that I'm a strong, powerful king and that the people will love me. And I will fight at Rock's Rest. And I definitely will not become a crispy sausage. That definitely will not happen. Alright, let's check the chat then. People saying, I was talking about Larys being a warg. Someone said he warged into Quentin Tarantino. Very nice. He's reading a history of women's feet and their many shapes. Very nice, very nice. The girl boss massacre will finally be avenged at Rook's Rest. Yeah, that is an issue with Rhaenys' character that we might have to address later on in the stream, I think. The horse armor is also peak. The horse armor is great. Like when it's in movement, it looks very obviously like plastic or rubber. But when the horses are staying still, oh, they look cool. They look very cool. Just checking the chat, catching up. I'm telling you, this is why I need 2 monitors. I'm still nearly 40k subscribers, big old live stream, 350 people watching, and I'm checking the chat on my mobile phone because because my telecommunications device, because I have 1 monitor. I'm a professional YouTuber. I've got 1 monitor. What's going on? What is that about? Anyway, I apologize. Rest in peace, Lord Darklyn. The reason I've called it that, is that showing? Oh, right, it should be showing around about now. So yeah, this is these shots from the trailer. We have Criston walking up, and it looks like he's on horseback. He's facing his army. We have a bunch of Darklyn shields in front of him. We have a man with his hands behind his back who's being in the bottom left, who's being pushed forwards, and he's also in the top left. And then of course we have Grain Hightower without his helmet watching on. We have Criston with a sword. Clearly what's happening here is the sack of King's Landing has happened. It would surprise me if the episode opens with this the sack of King's Landing. Sorry, I got my timelines mixed up. The sack of Duskendale, the seat of House Darklyn. Wouldn't surprise me if the episode opens with the sack of Duskendale and Criston's basically giving a big speech to his followers like, we marched on Rosby and they bent the knee and joined our retinue. We marched on Stokeworth, they bent the knee and joined our host. And we marched on Duskendale, they resisted us. So we sacked them and we will take the Lord's head because he's a traitor, and then Criston will start collecting heads. Criston will take his head. Now what's interesting is that obviously on Rhaenyra's Kingsguard, or Queensguard rather, there is Sir Steffon Darklyn. So I'm not entirely sure how Steffon is related to Lord Darklyn, but I hope we get at least one line there where Sir Steffon's like, they learn that Gunthor Darklyn has been beheaded and that Criston's now marching up to Rook's Rest, and Steffon's like, my brother, or something like that. Or maybe he's like, oh, that's my distant cousin, I don't give a shit. But yeah, Criston's going to be doing a lot of beheading, that's all I can say. So, here is an interesting shot. So, first off, I didn't know what this was. But luckily, every Wednesday, Wednesday or Tuesday, sometimes I flip it, but usually every Wednesday, I look through the Next Time trailer in a Patreon exclusive live streams with my patrons, and they point out things that I didn't notice before. And they notice that this dragon Alicent is holding is probably the same dragon that Viserys dropped and broke. That Alicent had fixed for him. Remember in episode 2 where like she's like, I fixed the dragon for you, and they share a bit of a awkward bonding moment. This could be the same dragon. It could be that the scraps of the Valyrian model that Aegon destroyed. Like, maybe this is in the bin, you know, this is in the debris pile. And Alicent's like, oh my god, this is the dragon that I fixed for Viserys. And then in this shot, someone interrupts her, and she, like, for a split second, you can see her accidentally drop it. So it could drop and shatter and parallel the moment when Viserys broke it. And yeah, this is probably her reminiscing over Viserys, thinking about that final conversation she had with her dying husband, realizing that, you know, maybe she's betraying him. Or maybe thinking, Viserys, you caused this because you weren't clear enough and you didn't do enough to unite both sides of the family, and you were too much of a cuck. I don't know. Next up, we have, this one is called New Allies, because it's just some shots of Gwaine and Kristen, because, you know, obviously they did some rivalry shit last episode, bit of class warfare. We had Gwaine being like, oh, you're a commoner and a Dornishman, and somehow you've taken over my father's position, you dirty scumbag. Goddamn social mobility, what's happening to this realm? And you're Dornish, ugh. And then Kristen was like, yeah, screw you. And then Kristen saved his life. So it could be after saving his life from the dragon, and after marching on Rosby and Stokeworth and Duskendale, that they're now bonded in warfare, and they're now brothers in arms, and they fully respect each other. Fun little mini arc, that could be cool. But we have this scene where Kristen says, you know, oh, are you scared? And then Gwaine says, I'm not scared, I'm rational. Excuse me. So I do wonder what they're discussing there. Is that them saying, you know, let's march on to Rook's Rest, and Gwaine being like, but what if they send dragons? We've marched too far, you know, we shouldn't risk it. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the word rational. Excuse me, apologies. There's a weird time to cough, me announcing that I don't like the word rational. Let me explain. I'm not a huge fan when Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon suddenly throws in a word that feels a bit too modern, right? Gwaine saying, no, I'm rational. Rational isn't a word I want to hear in Westeros. It's like Tyrion using the word nomenclature in season 7 or something, or season 6, when he's like, sorry, I don't know the nomenclature. And it's like, why you say that's a weird word to use in this, like, medieval fantasy? I don't know, bit of a nitpick, but the word rational is kind of like rubs my ears wrong. It's like, oh, it's like in The Witcher season 1 where Jaskier uses the word sexy, and I was just like, ugh, that's not a word that belongs in The Witcher. What the hell? Anyway, I'm fully distracted. What was I talking about? Okay, new friends, yes, Kristen and Gwaine. And then we have Kristen, for once, looking badass, genuinely. Look at that snarl on his face. Look at the sexy unicorn horse. Look at his armor. Look at his chain. Hands of gold. Look at the helmet. Look at the... He's like, hold to your courage. Hold to your wits. I don't know. I think I'm a Kristen simp now. The moment he got the haircut, he just became so much cooler. Ooh. Love this man. It would be cool to see him actually prove himself, instead of failing his way up, have him actually succeed at some stuff. Because it makes sense that, you know, he has some experience fighting and commanding. But let's get him on the battlefield. Let's get him some W's. Let's have fun with it. Yeah, and then Gwaine is looking fearfully onwards. Could it be because he has seen something terrifying? Has he seen some draggy boys? Potentially. So, yeah, the dragons that will be involved in the battle at Rook's Rest. We've got Vhagar at the top. Just terrifyingly huge. We've got Spiky Mellies, bottom right. Bottom left, we have Sunfire. That's the only shot we're getting of Sunfire in all the trailers. There's that shot and one underneath. It looks sparkly. I like the sparkle. But if the golden dragon looks less golden than Syrax, then there's a problem. Like, Syrax is a yellow dragon. Sunfire is meant to be golden. And that looks kind of like greeny brown to me. I'm not a fan. The pink wings I like. I'm going to assume it's the angle and the lighting. But, like, I want to see a nice proper shot of Sunfire where he looks sexy and sparkling and gold. I don't want muddy Sunfire. He's meant to be a beautiful dragon. Come on. Anyway. So yeah, this getting ground shots of the dragons is super, super important. Cause they put you in the perspective of the soldiers on the ground, just seeing these behemoths flying overhead. The last time we actually had a dragon-on-dragon fight would have been Battle of Winterfell, right? Yeah, it would have been Daenerys and Jon Snow fighting against the Night King on Viserion, which no one could fucking see because it was so dark. So likewise, Miguel Sapochnik is directing this episode, and you can see that you can barely see the screen. Oh wait, that's not true. It's Alan Taylor, and guess what? The battle's happening at daytime, so we can actually see. That's impressive. That is quite cool. First off, being able to see it will be cool, but also, yeah, our first dragon fight since Battle of Winterfell. How are they going to do the logistics of it? Like, the dragons, are they going to be smashing up against each other, biting, tearing, clawing, or be they sneaking around, blowing fire? Like, I obviously your imagination goes wild, but like, how are they going to do this fight? Is it going to be like a cat and mouse? They're chasing each other? I don't know, but yeah, it will certainly be fun. I do wonder why Vhagar and Sunfire are flying out to battle, because in Fire and Blood, if my memory serves me correctly, it's very specific. It's a specific ploy. It's a trap. It's let's march an army out unprotected, coax out Rhaenyra, hopefully, and then strike on our dragons. But instead, Rhaenys is sent because Rhaenyra doesn't want to go. But that hasn't happened this time. This time round, Kristen actively says, we're not going to bring a dragon because they're like nukes. Word for word, this is what he says. No, he says his sentiments are like they're like nukes. No one wants to be the first to use them because once one is used, then basically the Pandora's box is open and chaos could ensue. So if we just have our dragons defend our headquarters and march armies out and let the armies fight, then we can potentially get out of this without dragon fights. But then you can say, yeah, that's decent logic, but at the same time, are they not more likely to incinerate an army that is protected by a dragon? You know? I don't know. But anyway, what was my point? Yes, so what is the circumstance in which Vhagar and Sunfire will leave King's Landing in the first place? Will it be both of them together? Will it be like, Aegon, Aemond, let's team up, let's go out and actually defend Kristen Cole? Will they stick to the trap plan where they're like, oh, let's sneak in a distance and see if we can coax someone out from Dragonstone? Will it be that Vhagar goes of his own accord, like, yeah, I'm going to protect you, and then Aegon has the whole moment where he's like, I'm going on Sunfire, I'm going to go there myself, I'm going to prove myself? Or is it the other way round? Aegon goes first and Aemond goes, God damn it, my dumb idiot brother has flown out, I now need to protect him, and goes out with Vhagar. I don't know, but either way, I'm very much excited. This would, without question, be the very end of the episode, right? This will be the climactic moment. This will be the big battle. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. But before we go back to talking about Rook's Rest, damn, this is going to be a short live stream. There weren't many... a lot of the stills and clips and so on from next time trailers and photos are basically the same thing over and over, so there's not loads to talk about. But there's some more here. Some more dreams. Some more visions. Very exciting. We've got, presumably, either that or Daemon has stolen Littlefinger's teleporter and just appeared in the Red Keep. Quinn is saying, I think Sunfire will go first, then Vhagar. Yeah, kind of the whole proving himself to be strong, flies out, and then Aemond is like, God damn it, my brother's left. This is really risky. I need to fly and protect him. Or, excuse me, and we'll talk about this in a bit. Or if we go down the route of some theories that actually Aemond wants Aegon to fuck up because Aemond wants to be king, then maybe he's coming along almost to ensure there's a situation in which Aegon is injured or something like that. We'll talk about that in a second. But yes, looks like there are going to be more dreams, more prophecy. Not prophecy. They're not prophetic dreams. They're more like weird psychological visions, right? I don't know why I said prophecy. Well, it could be prophecy. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, either Daemon has teleported to the Red Keep, or he's having another weirwood dream / mental breakdown / Harrenhal vision / Alice Rivers mushroom trip. I don't know. But he's walking to the Red Keep, and there is a crown on the floor. Now, that is, of course, the crown of Rhaenyra. And before Rhaenyra, it was the crown of Viserys. And before Viserys, it was the crown of Jaehaerys. Will Jaehaerys be there? Probably not. Will Rhaenyra be there? Maybe, but we've already seen young Rhaenyra. So if we're talking about cool cameos, surely it's got to be Vizzy T, right? It's gonna be Vizzy T. Please give us a Vizzy T cameo. Have Viserys just chilling on the throne. And maybe he like, because we see the throne in darkness and we see the back of the throne. We could have like Daemon walking up to his brother on the throne. His brother like throws the crown and it rolls on the floor or something. Because if we're gonna dive into his psyche, who are the two most important people in Daemon's life outside of Daemon? It's Viserys and it's Rhaenyra, and we've already got Rhaenyra. So we explored his guilt about always abandoning Rhaenyra. We've explored his guilt about, but he's confronted with the actual visual of the child whose death he's responsible for. So this has to be either something about Viserys, or it's about his own conflicted views towards the throne and power, and whether he wants the Iron Throne and whether he's willing to throw Rhaenyra under the bus to claim it himself, etc. But either way, the fact that we're not just getting big Rook's Rest battle, dragon fight in the sky, death of a major character, not just all that, but we're getting more like Alice Rivers, Simon Strong, Harrenhal shenanigans and dreams. Oh, this could be one of the best episodes ever. I don't want to oversell it, but this could be one of the best episodes ever. Moving on, we have, these are just a couple more shots of the siege itself. Excuse me a sec. My goodness, I'm very sorry. I'm trying not to sneeze. I'm coughing instead. I'm so sorry, people. Yeah, we've got, that's Rook's Rest in the distance. They're marching up on Rook's Rest. Yeah, Hightower shields, Rosby shields, Stokeworth shields. They're all lined up. I wonder if, okay, so is there like going to be a battle first? What I'm guessing is there's a battle off the bat. Straight away, they're trying to like take the castle by force. They're trying to storm it. Then the dragons arrive. Then, let's say, maybe my guess, based on all of the shots of like Dragonfire and all the troops and so on, my guess is that Meleys and Rhaenys arrive first and start incinerating Kristen's army, but then Sunfire and Vhagar arrive in time to stop her. So I reckon there'll be a battle scene between ground forces, then Meleys will come to destroy them, then there'll be a dragon fight afterwards. That was an old man cough, what the hell? Lord Haven of Rosby. Yeah, I'm coughing like Giles Rosby. I got a bloody handkerchief and everything. Like an old man cough. I do apologise for the coughing, that's very annoying. So, there are a couple more stills here. Well, a couple more compilations of stills, I guess, in the slideshow. No war so bloody as a war between dragons. And so we have, we've got soldiers flying. We've got Aemond on his dragon spewing flame. It'll be fun to see Vhagar in battle properly. Because so far we've just seen Vhagar in flight, looking terrifying from a distance, creating a horror movie-esque silhouette against the moon, and chasing a little baby dragon, right? Terrifying, but we haven't seen Vhagar in action against an adult dragon like Meleys. So it'll be fun to see Vhagar go to town. And Aemond, it's interesting that he doesn't wear armor, because generally the idea is you want to wear armor on a dragon, because people down, in case you want to disembark, or also people down below will shoot arrows. Might not hurt the dragon, could hurt you if it gets you. So characters are often described as wearing armor and helmets when they're riding dragons. We know that Rhaenys wears armor. Aegon is going to be wearing armor and a helmet, the whole crown in the helmet that we saw from the trailer, from a trailer from a few weeks ago. But Aemond is just wearing his trench coat. He's just wearing his school shooter coat. Like, god damn it, man! There are people with arrows down there. There's dragonfire. Why are you just wearing a coat? Like, in Fire and Blood, I think he's described as having black armor chased with gold, which is pretty badass. I would have liked to see him in some armor, but I guess they're giving him a kind of lithe, agile, cat-like vibe, where like he doesn't do armor. They're like, my prince, your set of armor is here. He's like, I don't do armor. He just hops on his dragon and fucks off. He just wears his edgy trench coat and his eye patch, and he's like, yeah, I'm more live. I'm more agile. I don't know. I can see him being arrogant enough to not wear armor, but it is kind of silly. And then finally, the final part of the episode to address, because as far as I'm aware, we're going to have a Harrenhal scene. We're going to get some scenes on Dragonstone where they fight back against Rhaenyra. Like, how could you be so stupid as to leave us? Bit of lampshading there. Maybe definitely discussing the situation in the Crown Lands, and probably climaxing with Rhaenyra deciding that it's time to send a dragon, and then Rhaenys being sent. So all that stuff is going to happen, but the bulk of the episode, without question, will be big old fight scene at Rook's Rest and dragons. So all that stuff is a known factor, and also the outcome is known. So assuming they stick to the books, and I don't know why they wouldn't, we're going to see the death of a major character. Again, I don't know why there would be anyone watching this spoiler live stream right at the end, not knowing it's spoilery, but like I would just throw it out there one last time because I'm a nice guy. This is spoilery. Click off if you don't want spoilers. But yeah, we're going to see the death of the one, the only, the Rhaenys, the queen who never was. There's that famous picture in Fire and Blood where it's just a completely charred corpse in the fetal position next to the smoking remains of the headless Meleys. If they could recreate that shot, that would be very fun. I'm sure we're going to see the aftermath, and it's not going to be pretty. And then, of course, we'll see... this is the fight where Sunfire gets wounded and Aegon gets burned. The level of severity in his burn, I don't know. Like, are they going to go two-faced with it? Like, his hair's singed off, his face is blackened and crispy, and you can see teeth and bone beneath the skin. Are they going to go more like the Hound, where it's like prosthetics and it looks bad, but it's not as bad as it's described in the book? Are they going to go with like the cute Tyrion scar, where instead of losing his nose, he's got the cute scar? And Aegon's like, oh no, I've been burned, and there's like a small patch on his cheek. I don't know. Then you need to be able to... He needs to look burned up without it being like something that will be a huge nuisance for the actor and will get in the way of his performance, of Tom Glencarney's performance. So I don't know how burnt he'll be. We won't see it this episode. I think we'll see it next episode. But yeah, he's going to be injured. He's going to be burned. And that leads me into another topic, which is the fact I don't have a clue what's going to happen in the second half of the season. But I'll talk about that in a second, actually. Someone in the chat said, plot twist, Aemond is burned. Then I don't think they're going to split it. I feel like, yeah, that'd be a bit pointless. I think they're going to stick with the books. Oh yeah, you know how I was talking about how Aemond's not having armor? What happens when if he feels the need to disembark in the middle of a battlefield off his dragon? There's literally a shot of him standing in the woods in his edgy trench coat. Like, come on, man, put some armor on. But it's an interesting shot where Aemon's like looking kind of sus and either drawing his sword out or putting his sword away. But there are theories. So let me dive into the theory. The big theory of this episode is that in some capacity, Aemond will be responsible for Aegon's crispiness, for the Kentucky Fried Aemond. So this can take various different forms. So first off, it could just be wrong. The theory's wrong. We're going to have how it's described in the book. Aegon and Meleys are entangled. Sunfire and Meleys are entangled. They're biting each other. They're burning each other. Sunfire swoops in, burns them both, tears off Meleys' head. Sunfire crashes. It's how it looks, you know. Excuse me. So wheezy. Such an old man. What is going on? So late Lord Rosby, they call me. Okay. Yeah. The other option is that it's ambiguous, right? So maybe Aemon's gonna like stay back and watch the fight happen, and maybe he doesn't take part in it, and Sunfire and Meleys destroy each other, and then he swoops in like, whoops, I was too late. My bad. Looks like you're all injured now, lol. Or he stays back and then swoops in, and then maybe there's lots of fire and it's hard for the audience to know whether it's ambiguous or not, and then it's big question mark. That's the second option. Third option is it's explicit, where he just full on swoops in. It can't be explicit to the point that Aegon realizes it, but explicit where he swoops in, activates his dragon fire. He Dracarys all over the place. Dracarys time. And then he, with the deliberate intention of killing his own brother. And then it doesn't quite work. Maybe this shot of him in the woods with his sword is him like trying to finish the job, maybe. I don't know. The shivers have reached Guantanamo Bay. Yes, I do. Either the shivers or the Great Spring Sickness that killed King Daeron II has come to claim me. I'll try to survive the week. So, yeah, it could be a nothing theory. It could be ambiguous. It could be explicit. Either way, would I like this change? Let's say it's true. Let's say it's true. Let's say that they're going to have it so that Aemond in some way does try to kill off his brother, whether it's temporary, whether it's kind of semi-accidental but not really, etc., etc. Let's break it down. So, pros and cons for this being a good plot point. Pros: Aemond has already broken the seal of kinslaying. He has already killed his nephew, and everyone thinks that it was intentional. Everyone thinks it was deliberate. He is already seen as a fierce foe and a monster. And so if he can take out a nephew, the next step is taking out a brother. 2 is the idea that he's embracing this role, that he has this mask. Like the eye patch almost represents a mask for him, the mask of the badass soldier, of the fierce kinslaying warrior. And he's sort of embracing that mask more and more to the point where he has become it. And he's embracing his role as a monster. You know, the bad boy facade has now become him, and he can't separate himself from it, and so he's willing to do more vicious things. And maybe that's what the scene at the brothel was about in episode 3, where he's naked and vulnerable and embarrassed, and then he suddenly is like, screw this whore, who I clearly have some kind of emotional connection with, screw her. And screw you, I'm going to walk away dramatically. That was him being like, no more vulnerable Aegon, I'm moving on. I'm rejecting my vulnerability and embracing my monster role. So yeah, could he do it? Yes. Has he broken the seal? Yes. The question is why? So that's twofold. For one, he probably doesn't like his brother. He was bullied by his brother. We know that he hates Jace and Luke. And that he hated Luke for taking his eye, and he said they bullied him because they were different, etc. But Aegon was the ringleader of that. So it would be weird for him to be loyal to his brother who bullied him and be completely fine with Jace and Luke who bullied him. Like, Aegon was the ringleader. He was the older one. He's the one who trolled him the most. And then that scene in the brothel was very much like the bullying coming back, right? A reminder that his drunk older brother just always mocks him and teases him. And also, like, you know, he takes Aemond to a brothel age 13 and basically forces him to get with the brothel madam, because, which he also tries to do with the squire. So Aegon clearly has a weird thing for introducing young people to losing their virginity. But like, that's the sort of thing that can mess up a kid. So it could be that he sort of, you know, he considers, he might hate Aegon for like pushing him into that brothel lifestyle young, which he didn't want. And of course there's the bullying. And the final factor here, these are not very coherent thoughts, by the way. Whenever I listen to these live streams back, I'm like, what is he? I'm going in like 5 different directions. But the final point is that he is next in line. So in the book we have Maelor. We don't have Maelor here. We have Jaehaera. And there hasn't been a discussion about the line of succession yet, which is odd. But presumably Aegon is not going to name his daughter Jaehaera as his heir, because that kind of flies in the face of Team Green. Not necessarily, like, it wouldn't make them a hypocrite, because he's not naming Jaehaera over a brother, because the brother's dead. It's just naming his daughter. But Team Green would basically be like, what are you doing? You can't name your young daughter as your heir. It has to be your brother. Aegon is in a Viserys situation where he's like, who's Viserys the First? Who is it? My daughter Rhaenyra, or is it my brother Daemon, who's kind of dangerous? Aegon's in a similar situation. He's like, is it my daughter Jaehaera or my dangerous brother Aemond? But we can assume Aemond is the heir. Maybe it's as simple as, yeah, I want revenge on the guy who bullied me. I've broken the seal of kinslaying. I'm embracing my monster persona. But also, I want the Iron Throne. I want that for me, because I deserve it. We have that speech in episode 9, awkwardly written, awkwardly delivered, I do have to confess, but he's like, while Aegon was out partying, I studied the blade, right? That's basically what he says. I studied history and philosophy. I'm a great swordsman. I ride the largest dragon. I would make an excellent king. Like, I'm a military mind. Meanwhile, Aegon is a drunkard and a wastrel and a pervert, and he's just not a good king. And the first 3 episodes, I imagine Aemond has just been watching Aegon be incompetent and drunk, and watching, the council kind of go to shit with Otto being fired, and his hiring his frat boy mates as Kingsguard who don't take their vows seriously, and so on. So I reckon Aemond's kind of like, I can do a better job. And I think he's been very understated in these first 3 episodes. He hasn't really given his thoughts much. He hasn't said much. We know that he wants to act. We know he wants to be violent. We know he wants to get the armies on the move. And we know that Aegon keeps referring to him as like a loyal dog. Aegon's kind of deluded himself into thinking that Aemond hasn't got much agency. He's just kind of angry attack dog who does things for him. So I can see Aemond being like, nah, screw you. I'm going to take matters into my own hands. And it being a bit of a surprise. So those are the pros. Those are the things that make me go, okay, yeah, sure. I would buy it if they throw in a little twist where Aemond intentionally, semi-intentionally, etc., tries to take out his brother in an attempt to claim the throne for himself. I can see that. Cons. What are the cons? Well, I can only think of 2. One is, why doesn't he try this again? Because, like, if you've got Aegon... excuse me. I'm so sorry, guys. Aegon in his bedchamber, like, drunk on milk of the poppy, trying to survive being burned. I don't know how far they'll go with that in the show, but are we going to say that Aemond tried to take his brother out and then doesn't try again? Like, he doesn't do any assassination attempts, doesn't try to overfeed him milk of the poppy, give him one of Alice River's brews, make him trip out. Or it could be, I guess, if this is like a one-off, spur-of-the-moment, impulsive thing that he does, and then it fails, and he's like, okay, I'm not going to try again. And also, I guess if Aegon's indisposed and they're going down the plot line where Aemond becomes Prince Regent, then they're probably going to... Yeah. He's probably going to be satisfied enough as Prince Regent. Maybe. I don't know. So that's one of the cons, I guess, is why he try to do more to take out his brother, but that can be explained. And then the other con is a lot more simple, which is, I just think it's more interesting if Aemond is a loyal brother. Someone who is kind of crazy, who is kind of psychopathic, who is nuts, who is fierce, that he doesn't, even though he's close to the throne, he doesn't actually want it because he loves his brother so much and he wants to fight for his brother. Like, Team Green is already dysfunctional enough, and that does make them interesting. More interesting than Team Black, in my opinion. But if we just have, I don't know, I personally, I think it's more interesting and more subversive to just have this crazy younger brother who is just like, yeah, I'm loyal to you and I'm serving you, and teamwork, right? The rest of our family don't love us, but we love each other. I feel like that's cooler. Like Aemond in the book, not as interesting as Aemond in the show, obviously, but Aemond in the book is just a full-on crazy honey badger going wild, and he does it all for Aegon. And then having him be like, no, I am going to try and take my brother out and take the throne for myself. It's like, if that's what you'd expect, so it's not as interesting. But like I said, it's set up fine, so I'm okay with it. But I've talked quite a lot about this. This might not even happen. This is just a theory people have thrown around. I don't even think it's based on leaks. I think it's just people have suspected that they might go that route with his character. Like, since season 1, people have been discussing that. So I think I'd be fine if it happens. I just personally think it would be more interesting if it didn't happen, But I'm fine with that. I'm also fully fine with it, if I'm being honest. I also hope when Aemond becomes Prince Regent, I hope he gets a crown. He probably won't, but I want to see him I want to see a cool little crown. I don't know. So, yeah, this was a fairly short live stream compared to most of them. We're not done yet. I'm gonna check out what people are saying in the chat for a little bit. I'm gonna answer remaining super chats and the Streamlabs donations. So for this last 5 to 10 minutes of the live stream, feel free to send in super chats. Feel free to send in Streamlab donations, etc., to help support the channel. And yeah, let's see what the chat's saying. The episode is starting in like an hour and a half or something, 1 hour 40 minutes. As usual, I won't be watching it live. I don't want to rant about this again, but getting 2 ad break in the UK, getting 2 ad breaks halfway through the episode, an episode that is not written for ad breaks, is infuriating. So it's so annoying that I'm now going to bed instead of staying up to watch House of the Dragon. I'm going to bed and I'm watching it the next day. Order that cheeky Nando's, watch it on my sofa, curtains closed, enjoy it. Enjoy it without the ad breaks, because when you watch it live, you get the ads, and oh my god, ruins the episode. Oh boy. You're a great audience. You put up with a lot of my rambling. Okay, what are people saying? Bum bada bum 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 bum. Let's have a look. Why Aemond no wear armor? Yeah, I talked about this. I don't know, maybe they just didn't have time or budget, or they didn't want to give him armor, or it's like a character thing where they're like, he's more lithe and cat-like, so let him wear his leather outfit and clothes instead of big chunky armor. And I would have liked to see, as described in the book, black armor chased with gold is how it's described. His chin wouldn't fit in a helmet. Calm down, people, calm down. Yeah, the Doug Wheatley pick of the aftermath of Rook's Rest. Someone's mentioned the artist's name, Doug Wheatley, Fire and Blood illustrator. Yes, I imagine they'll do a shot that's kind of similar, because it's quite an iconic shot of the burned fetal corpse. Aemond needs a fedora. Aemond, I think if Aemond were played differently, he could be really cringe, but he isn't. Like, he is cool. He does manage to be cool. This man was hanging dong. This man just got up. He's skinny and shredded at the same time. Somehow he gets up naked, walks all the way back to the Red Keep. His little dragon cock swaying in the breeze. Commoners watching him walk by. Let's have a look. Someone says, I just realised if Aegon will be crispy chicken after this, will there be a Maelor? My guess is there will not be a Maelor. They said Maelor doesn't exist. When they said Maelor doesn't exist yet, I think what they meant is that because of the timeline changes, there is not going to be a Maelor, right? I don't think we're going to, because the whole point is that after this incident, Aegon isn't able to have any more kids. I don't think we're going to have burned, crispy Aegon taking his burnt little cocktail sausage out and impregnating Helena, and then she gets pregnant and goes through 7 months and then has a baby, and then the baby grows up just so that we can have one scene of Maelor being torn apart at Bitterbridge. Like, that seems kind of pointless to me. They will likely change the Bitterbridge scene with something else, you know, some equivalent, but I don't think they're going to have Maelor. Maelor is not super important. Yeah. Things to Glidus, I imagine Aemon's inner voice in Japanese. Yeah. The Glidus Bliss takes. There's no way people are defending the absolute crime from the showrunners if they make Aemond betray his bro. I mean, I think it's been set up fine. I wouldn't consider it an absolute crime. Like I said, I think it's more interesting if he doesn't, but I think it's been set up in a way that is understandable. Yeah. Bum ba da bum. Gaiman pale hair for the throne. Yes, I do hope that the Moon of the Three Kings is adapted fully into House of the Dragon. They've given enough emphasis to the small folk, and I think they'll continue to do so, that I can see that plotline being really interesting. And lots of theories that, like, Madame Sylvie and Diana, the maid, and, you know, maybe even Copper Penny, etc., all of these prostitutes and maids and so on, will be the women who rule their portion of King's Landing via the baby Gaiman pale hair. I could see that happening. I think at the very least we'll get the shepherd. But I want to see the shepherd. I want to see Gaiman. I want to see libertarian hero Trystane Truefire and his loyal hand Perkin the Flea. Bum ba dum bum. Let's have a look. Will they be showing Melee's head being parade around King's Landing? I don't know. The rambling is the best part. Thank you. You legends, thank you. I guess that's why you come here. Aemond is a leather MILF milk fetishist. I shouldn't have read any of that. I don't know why I felt the need to read that comment, because now I've definitely been demonetized, my goodness. Bum bum bum. What if Aemond fathers Maelor? Possible, but again, I don't think they're gonna do the whole process of Helena getting pregnant and giving birth just to kill off Maelor. Like, it feels like they're just not doing Maelor. It would be very pointless. It would feel like too much. Glidus will eat chocolate wins. Someone needs to hunt down chocolate, that chocolate George R. R. Martin figure. Consume him. Kristen Cole is Craster's father. What the fuck? Gaiman and Trystane could be meshed together. Nah, they could. No, they could be. They easily could be, but I wouldn't want them to be. I'd want to have all three kings, you know. Yeah, I could see them doing that. I could see the shepherd and then a kind of Trystane Gaiman merger. Yeah. I don't know, have all three. Yeah, the multitude of characters makes the world feel more full. Combining characters makes it more contained and isolated. Yes, I agree. Good stuff. Okay. So, before we wrap up, we have a Streamlabs donation. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Cyrello, who says, the HBO Max thumbnail for the house that Dragons built is Sunfire right now. Oh, cool. I don't know if it's just concept art, but it looks great. Yeah, I don't think I have access. Well, I don't have access to HBO Max in the UK because HBO Max wants to come to the UK. It wants to come to Britain, but Murdoch and Sky aren't letting it because of anyway. So I don't know what that thumbnail is, but I'm looking forward to seeing Sunfire. Do us proud with Sunfire. But yeah, thank you very much for the donation. So, in an hour and a half, the episode is coming out. I'll be watching it tomorrow. And what's going to happen tomorrow? Well, either on my channel or on Quinn the GM's channel. I think it's my channel this time. Let me think. I can't remember. Anyway, subscribe to both of us. Either my channel or Quinn the GM's channel, we're going to be doing a post-episode breakdown on Monday, 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. Eastern Time, America. That's like 11 p.m. to 12 p.m. in the UK. Yay. We'll be doing a breakdown of the episode together. Those are lots of fun. Non-spoilery, apart from the last section, then we go spoilery. Excuse me. Yeah, if you enjoyed, feel free to subscribe. Feel free to like the video. I can shield myself for a bit. Every week I'm doing weekly quickie reviews, and I've got some fun animated content. So we had the real Viserys, we had the real Blood and Cheese, We had the animated history of House Bracken versus House Blackwood, which is doing numbers, actually. I'm really proud of that one. And we have a couple more long animated videos in the works during the Hot D era. In fact, we're going to have one coming out this week and one final one in the next few weeks. I'm not entirely sure when. So that's exciting. If you're interested in the Patreon, then what we're doing during the Hot D era, what we're doing is that every Tuesday we're doing an episode watch along on the Patreon Discord. It's an exclusive Discord for patrons. You get to chat to me and chat to each other. It's amazing. We do voice chat together where we watch through the latest episode and we banter about it. Then afterwards we do a Song of Ice and Fire Jeopardy. Some of our members take it in turns to make Jeopardy for everyone else to play. I don't want to brag, but I have won every single Jeopardy game so far. It's almost like this is my job and I don't have a life. I think the true winner of Jeopardy is the person who doesn't win it, considering it's a bunch of niche Song of Ice and Fire questions. But anyway, yeah, and on Wednesdays we do Patreon live streams where it's exclusive Q&As and it's me usually breaking down the next time trailer and just chatting. So that's fun. Other stuff in the patrons, there's as well as Discord stuff. There's exclusive videos like the history of House Dane and behind the scene videos. There's extended videos like Hightower and House Royce, where I look at House Royce to the Gates of the Moon. I do art commissions. I do shouting out your name at the end of the video, having it in the description, having it at the end card. Cameos, that's the highest tier. I put, you tell me to make a piece of art and I have it cameo in my animated videos, etc, etc. I never really know how to shill the Patreon in a fun, each time I kind of say it in a different way. But yeah, long story short, if you want to support me, there's lots of fun stuff there. And I also have merch. If you want mugs, t-shirts, beanies, hoodies, we have some great Fantasy Haven merch. There's a Fantasy Haven sigil, the Fantasy Haven logo. There's also a Late Lord Haven t-shirt and mug, which... Oh, wait, no, yeah. It's just a Late Lord Haven. It's my face in front of a fucking clock, so that's fun. Yeah. What else have I shielded? I've talked about my Patreon and I've talked about... Excuse me, sorry. I've talked about my Patreon and I've talked about my merch. Just enjoy the channel. Like and subscribe, all that good stuff. We've nearly overtaken Quinn the GM. I'm telling you now, we're literally like, what, 100 subscribers away from overtaking Quinn? I would tell you this now. My original goal was to hit 40k subscribers by the end of House of the Dragon, which I thought was a long shot. And we've nearly hit 40k halfway through, so it might be a bit cocky, but should my next goal be 50k by the end of Hot D? That feels like a bit much, right? Maybe not 50k, maybe 45k. We'll see. Haven Quinn podcast when? I'd love to do a podcast with Quinn, but he's the busy one. He's the guy who's training to be a lawyer. Like, I'm free. I would love to do kind of like Alt-Shift X and Glider style, like Nebula videos, where they just hours and hours of them breaking down episodes and chatting about characters and like, or just doing podcasts. I'd be able to do that whenever, but Quinn's a busy guy, so yeah, we'll have to see. Post Hot D podcast where we talk about stuff. We've got to really dive into that grind, you know. All of these are Song of Ice and Fire duos. Alt-Shift X and Glidus. Oh, sorry, Alt-Shift X and Glidus, my bad. Preston and Carmine. I immediately can't think of any others. But anyway, yeah. All the Song of Ice and Fire duos. Glue Guns and Roses, is Alt-Shift in the UK. I didn't realise the time difference, or I didn't think about the time difference while he streams half the episode. No, he's Australian, I'm pretty sure. Judging by his accent, he's Australian. So that would be what they'd be watching House of the Dragon, like, when it comes out live, it'll be like the afternoon for them, I think. So for Alt-Shift X, he's probably watching it in the afternoon and then just streaming till late afternoon. So that's actually very nice for him. Whereas if I did an immediate post-episode stream, it would be at like 3 p.m. And I'd be very tired. Speaking of tired, it is nearly 20 to 1 in the morning. I've got to go to bed, got to go to sleep, get up, order some cheeky Nando's, and watch episode 4 tomorrow. And then carry on with my next video, The Real Rhaenys, and prepare my live stream with Quinn, and just get cooking. I've got so many ideas, not just for House of the Dragon, but post House of the Dragon. I've got some really fun content ideas. Animation, of course, but I also want to be a bit more creative. Now I'm in a place where I'm quite secure with YouTube, and I can afford to do more experimental videos and show off more of my personality, be a bit more fun with the channel. How dare you forget David Lightbringer, Grey Waste Tim, and Goal Nettles. Yeah, David Lightbringer and Grey Waste Tim are usually a consistent duo as well. That's another duo. I like Grey Waste Tim. He's a nice guy. Is Alt Shift X and Alt Shift X the same person? No, they're twins. They're evil. Swift is the evil twin of Shift. It's a whole situation. It's drama. I don't want to get into it. Glue Guns and Roses says, I'm a dumbass. I feel bad. I can't tell the difference of any English accent. Don't worry. Quinn the GM himself thought that Alt Shift X and Glidus were both British, which is ridiculous in my opinion, but there we go. Americans think Australians are British, and they think that Scottish people are American in the case of Alice Rivers, so that's how it is. June Part 2 book versus film when? After Hot D, for sure, yeah. Yeah, I remember I released that video, the June Part 1 versus the book. I wasn't super proud of the video. It was hard to make. I'm not as much into June as I am into A Song of Ice and Fire. And a lot of the comments are really like, actually. Like, they're quite kind of mean-spirited. I'm like, oh, okay. And it kind of flopped on release. But then, over time, it's now like 90k views. I'm like, oh, shit. Okay, I'm going to make more June videos. And I do like June. So, yes, I can do a part 2. I also want to do one where I compare it to the David Lynch one and so on. And I want to do more fantasy. You know, I want to do Witcher videos. Someone earlier asked about Witcher videos. I want to do Witcher videos. I want to read Memory, Sorrow and Thorn, which massively influenced A Song of Ice and Fire. I want to do, it's Fantasy Haven. I want to branch out more into fantasy and sci-fi. A Song of Ice and Fire will always be the core, but I want to branch out and do new stuff. Thank you for the super chat from Bravundus, who says, let him cook. I am cooking. And let's just say, hopefully this video goes ahead, but one of my video ideas for the future is to get the A Song of Ice and Fire cookbook that recently got released and quite literally cook. But we'll see where that goes. Gormenghast, yes. Gormenghast trilogy is definitely one I'll look at. Definite inspiration for Harrenhal, apparently. Every fray is the 50k sub goal. Okay, yeah. So I have a bunch of different ideas for what to do after Hot D, but the two that are standing out in my mind are... the three that are standing out are a video where I try to cook meals from the Song of Ice and Fire cookbook, a video where I break down all of the Valyrian steel weapons and what happens to them and what houses they belong to, etc. And the one, the only, the mythological Every Fray Explained, where I go through every single fray in A Song of Ice and Fire, from a Game of Thrones to a Dance with Dragons, break down over 100 frays and talk about them. The script, last time, when I wrote the script last year, it was like 20 pages. So, yeah, I feel like I'm finally in a place financially where I can actually take like a whole month off to just work on one massive video. That'd be lots of fun. Every Fray Explained will come. Yeah. And one last thing I'll throw out is that not only are we having a great time with Hot D, and this channel in particular, like, we're blowing up with views and subscribers, and, I'd hoped that Hot D coming out would kind of, like, change my channel, like, transform my channel from, like, kind of amateurish to kind of semi-professional. Not in terms of quality of content, but just in terms of subs and views and fan interaction, and it's really becoming, like, a professional, proper channel, and people who are with me from the start, you're probably very satisfied, but, like, we're truly growing. And just to cap off this amazing time of my life, I'm seeing George R. R. Martin in person. I'm going to the Oxford Q&A event just like a couple days on the Friday before episode 8 of the show comes out, where it's going to be George R. R. Martin and Philip Pullman, and I'm going to be in the audience watching him, and hopefully I can ask him a question. Maybe I'll ask him a question about House Frey. That'll be fitting. And then I can get a selfie with him and get him to sign a book. So that's just a great way to wrap up the Hot D era. So anyway, I finished this live stream officially like 15 minutes ago, and then in classic Haven form, I rambled my ass off. So beautiful, sexy people, thank you so much for watching. You're not the 100 people who dipped because you dipped the moment I stopped talking about episode 4. Speaking of, I need to change the title of this video to episode 4 breakdown. I don't know what I was thinking. What's your question? Where the fuck is wins? Should I just be... No. I imagine anyone who even mentions the word wins will immediately get tackled by security and dragged out of the event and beaten up. I should cook the honeyed and spiced locusts from dance. That would be good. Okay, anyway. Yeah. Thanks for watching. There'll be lots more videos coming out during the Hot D era. If you want to support me, check out the merchandise, check out the Patreon, all that good stuff. Love you all. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll give my thoughts on the episode